Real love sees you, chooses you, and stays. Have you ever loved someone so deeply yet still felt unseen, unsure, or unchosen? Have you ever questioned if love was supposed to feel this exhausting, this confusing, this conditional? What if I told you that real love, the kind that doesn't just spark but stays, doesn't leave you guessing? In this video, we're going beyond surface attraction and sweet words. We're diving deep into what real love actually looks like, feels like, and acts like. Because love that sees you, chooses you, and stays isn't found in games, it's found in truth. Whether you're healing, hoping, or holding on, this message is for the part of you that still believes love should feel safe, not silent, consistent, not conditional, honest, not hurtful. Stay with me till the end, because this might be the reminder your heart has been quietly waiting for, and the reassurance you didn't know you needed. When we say real love sees you, we're talking about something deeper than surface attraction or temporary fascination. We're talking about being truly recognized, not for how you look, what you can offer, or how well you play a part, but for who you really are when the spotlight is off. In a world where attention is cheap and validation is handed out with a swipe, being truly seen is rare. And that's why it matters so much. Real love doesn't scan you for perfection or performance. It slows down long enough to look beyond your highlight reel. It notices the layers, the depth, the contradictions, the way you overthink before sending a message, the way your voice slightly trembles when you're being vulnerable, the quiet strength behind your calm. It doesn't just admire your confidence. It respects your courage to still show up even when you feel afraid. Real love doesn't reduce you to roles. You are not just someone's partner, the funny one or the responsible one. You are not defined by your usefulness. Real love sees that you have wounds beneath your wisdom, softness beneath your strength, doubts inside your determination. It doesn't just celebrate the best in you, it holds space for the broken in you. And when you don't have the words to explain your silence, it listens anyway. When you can't be your most charismatic self, it doesn't withdraw, it leans in closer, because it's not addicted to your performance, it's connected to your presence. When someone really sees you, you feel safe. You don't have to over-explain or edit yourself. You don't have to wear a mask of cool or pretend to be less emotional than you are. You don't have to ask, am I too much? Because real love doesn't fear your depth. It welcomes your storms and understands your seasons. It knows that some days you need space, some days you need reassurance, and some days you need someone to just sit with you in the dark. So many people chase being wanted, but they forget to ask, am I being understood? Because being seen is more than being watched. Being seen is having someone witness your truth and still choose closeness, not distance. It's knowing that you don't have to shrink to stay lovable, that your weird habits, anxious moments, and emotional outbursts aren't deal breakers. They're just pieces of your human experience. And someone who really sees you doesn't run from that. They don't label you too sensitive or too complicated. They're not overwhelmed by your emotions because they don't see them as a threat. They see them as a language, and they're willing to learn how to speak it. Real love sees through your defense mechanisms. It knows that sarcasm might be your shield and silence might be your survival. It doesn't get scared off by the parts of you that are still healing. It doesn't shame your past or rush your growth. It looks at your scars and says, you've been through a lot and I still want to walk beside you. That kind of love feels like coming home. You're not performing, you're not negotiating, you're just being, and that's enough. This is the kind of love that heals, that empowers, that elevates, not because it fixes you, but because it reminds you that you were never broken to begin with. It reflects back your worth until you start to see it too. It's not loud or flashy. It's quiet, consistent, and deeply grounding. And in a world that often tells you that love is something you earn by being more, looking better, or doing things right, real love says, I see you already. And desire is easy. It happens in an instant, sparked by attraction, chemistry, or curiosity. But desire alone isn't love, and it's definitely not commitment. Real love chooses you, and that choice is what separates fleeting emotions from something that can actually last. Being desired can make you feel special, but being chosen makes you feel secure. When someone chooses you, they aren't just reacting to a feeling, they're making a decision, a conscious one, to prioritize you, to invest in you, and to build something with you. They're not just choosing the idea of you or the moments that feel convenient, they're choosing you, even when it requires effort, patience, and sacrifice. In today's world, where people confuse attention for affection and messages for meaning, it's tempting to think that being wanted is enough, but someone can want you without ever choosing you. They can say all the right things, feel deeply connected, and still avoid commitment. Because choosing someone takes more than feeling, it takes action. It means that out of all the distractions, options, and temptations, someone looks at you and says, "You're who I want. I'm not hedging my bets. I'm not keeping my door half open. I'm here with you." Choosing someone means showing up when it's not exciting. It means showing up when you're not at your most fun, your most flattering, or your most available. Real love doesn't choose based on mood or moment. It chooses based on meaning. That's why it doesn't disappear when you express your needs or when life gets busy. Someone who chooses you doesn't disappear for days and come back with apologies. They don't treat your heart like an option or your time like a backup plan. You don't feel like you're competing for attention or proving your worth. Instead, you feel chosen because their actions match their words consistently. Real love chooses you even when it would be easier to choose something else, like freedom, ambiguity, or escape. It chooses the harder path of depth over the easy route of distance. That choice doesn't mean it's always perfect. Love gets messy, misunderstandings happen, feelings fluctuate, but the foundation doesn't shift. The commitment doesn't vanish just because the emotions aren't always intense. Someone who chooses you will still be there on the days when love feels more like effort than euphoria. That kind of love also means choosing you in public and in private. You're not someone they hide. You're not someone they keep in the shadows. They include you in their plans, introduce you with pride, and protect the bond you're building. They don't need to be convinced of your value. They already see it. You're not chasing their approval. You're not walking on eggshells hoping you don't mess it up. They're already sure. And the most beautiful part of being chosen is knowing you don't have to pretend. You don't have to constantly be strong, constantly be exciting, or constantly earn your place. You can rest in the truth that someone is choosing you, not a filtered version of you, not a fantasy they've projected onto you, but the real you with your emotions, your complexities, your past, and your passion. Real love is a choice made again and again. It's not a one-time declaration. It's a daily decision. It's waking up and saying, I still choose this. I still choose you, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when life is pulling us in different directions. That kind of love is rare, but it's what your heart deserves, because being chosen gives you the freedom to stop performing and start living. It turns love from a guessing game into a safe place. And in that kind of love, you don't just feel desired, you feel valued. Real love stays when it's hard. That's the true test. It's easy to love someone when everything feels light, when the laughter is effortless, and when both people are giving at full capacity. But what happens when one of you is tired, struggling, overwhelmed, or uncertain? That's when real love reveals itself. Not in the flawless moments, but in the flawed ones. Real love doesn't run when things stop being easy. It doesn't treat conflict like a reason to disappear or use discomfort as an excuse to disconnect. It stays, not because it's obligated, but because it's committed. That kind of love knows that difficult doesn't mean broken, and disagreement doesn't mean destruction. It believes in working through the tension rather than avoiding it. When love is real, it doesn't walk away just because emotions get messy. It understands that vulnerability can come with tears, silence, or even sharp words, but it stays present through the storm. It doesn't retreat into defensiveness or turn cold just to regain control. It listens, it leans in, it chooses to understand instead of shutting down. Love that stays doesn't demand perfection, it welcomes honesty. It doesn't want your constant smile, it wants your truth. And sometimes your truth includes doubt, fear, and pain, the kind of love that lasts make space for all of that. In a world that glamorizes leaving first, protecting yourself at all costs, and never being too attached, real love takes the opposite road. It's not about guarding your heart so fiercely that no one ever gets close. It's about allowing yourself to be deeply connected, even when connection comes with risk. Real love isn't afraid of that risk. It accepts that to truly love someone means opening yourself up to the full spectrum of their humanity, which includes their worst day. It doesn't leave when your energy is low, when your responses are short, or when your anxiety creeps in. It holds on tighter, not looser. And this kind of love doesn't rely on constant agreement to survive. It knows that two people can love each other deeply and still see things differently. Staying doesn't mean ignoring red flags or tolerating disrespect, but it does mean not confusing imperfection for incompatibility. It means understanding that hard times are part of any meaningful relationship. It means choosing repair over retreat, healing over hiding, and conversation over can. Love that lasts says, this is tough, but we're tougher. People often chase the high of being loved passionately, but they forget to ask, will this person love me patiently? Because when life throws you challenges, when your mind is tangled, or when your heart is heavy, it's patience that sustains love. Passion might get you through the good days, but patience gets you through the hard ones. A partner who stays shows up on both. They don't just love who you are when everything's easy. They love who you are when you're trying to keep it all together. This kind of love isn't afraid of the emotional mess. It doesn't shame you for being human. It understands that healing isn't linear and growth doesn't always look pretty. Sometimes love has to sit with discomfort, face old wounds, and navigate tough seasons. But it doesn't pack its bags when it gets uncomfortable. It doesn't flirt with escape. It grounds itself in the belief that connection is worth the fight. And that kind of staying power builds something stronger than chemistry. It builds trust. To be loved in your most fragile moments is the deepest form of safety a relationship can offer. When someone stays when it would be easier to leave, when they choose to sit beside your pain instead of escaping it, that's not weakness. That's strength. That's love. Not just a feeling, but a choice, a loyalty, a presence. And that kind of love doesn't just stay for the good times. Real love grows with you, not against you. It doesn't punish you for evolving or changing. It understands that growth is not only inevitable, it's necessary. No one stays the same forever, and the kind of love that truly lasts is the kind that embraces that journey. You are not meant to be frozen in time for someone else's comfort. You're not here to live in the version of yourself that made someone else feel safe. Real love supports your expansion even when that expansion means stepping into new confidence, new goals, new boundaries, or new truths. Many people fall in love with a version of you that fits a story they already wrote in their heads. And when you outgrow that version, they feel threatened. They resist your change because it forces them to change too. But real love doesn't react with fear, it responds with encouragement. It doesn't see your growth as competition or betrayal, it sees it as a natural part of life and chooses to adapt, not retreat. The person who truly loves you won't try to rewind you into who you used to be. They'll celebrate who you're becoming. They will evolve with you, not in spite of you. Growth isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it means setting boundaries you didn't have before. Sometimes it means healing wounds that once made you easier to manipulate. And sometimes it means walking away from patterns that once made a relationship feel comfortable but were quietly damaging you. Real love doesn't stand in the way of that transformation. It doesn't ask you to stay small just to keep the peace. It doesn't require you to shrink just so someone else can feel tall. When love is real, it grows with you because it respects the fact that you're not here to stay stuck, you're here to rise. Real love shows up with you on your journey of self-discovery. It may not always understand every change right away, but it tries, it listens. It's willing to grow in awareness, maturity, and emotional depth so that your relationship doesn't fall behind your personal growth. Love that grows with you takes accountability. It says, if you're leveling up, I want to learn how to support you at that level. Now, it doesn't get defensive when you evolve, it gets curious. It asks what you need now instead of assuming what worked before still works today. This kind of love doesn't just survive change, it thrives in it. Because with every new layer you uncover in yourself, there's a new layer of intimacy to discover in the relationship. When love is rooted in growth, the connection deepens over time. You stop fearing distance because you trust that both of you are walking forward. Even if the steps are different, the direction is shared. And if the love is real, it won't resent the growth, it will rise to meet it. People often fear that growth will drive a wedge in their relationship, and yes, it can, when the love isn't real or mature enough to handle it. But the right kind of love isn't afraid of your progress. It doesn't shame you for outgrowing old habits or needing more emotional depth than you once did. It doesn't cling to outdated versions of you just to protect its own comfort. It adapts. It upgrades, it learns, it grows. You're allowed to become everything you were meant to be. The right love will not only allow it, it will support it, protect it, and stand beside you while you step into your power. That kind of love grows roots in your truth. It stretches with you instead of snapping under pressure. It chooses alignment over control. And when love grows with you, it becomes something more than romantic. It becomes transformative. Real love doesn't play games. It doesn't confuse you, manipulate you, or make you question your worth. In a world where mixed signals are mistaken for mystery and emotional unavailability is glorified as strength, real love shows up with clarity, not chaos. It doesn't need to test you to feel powerful. It doesn't disappear to make you miss it. It doesn't give you just enough to keep you hooked while always keeping you uncertain. That isn't love. That's control wearing the mask of romance. Real love is honest. It's consistent. It makes you feel grounded, not dizzy. And most importantly, it makes you feel emotionally safe. When someone truly loves you, they don't treat affection like a currency or attention like a reward. They don't withhold communication to punish you or pretend not to care just to see if you'll chase them. Love that is real doesn't require strategy. You don't have to overthink every message or decode every word. You don't have to keep score or wonder whether being too available will make you look desperate. Real love isn't a game of chess where every move is a calculation. It's an invitation into honesty, openness, and peace. You should never feel like you're auditioning for someone's heart. Real love doesn't keep you in a state of emotional hunger. It feeds the connection with presence, kindness, and intention. It doesn't make you beg for clarity. It gives it freely. And when conflict arises, it doesn't use silence as a weapon or guilt as leverage. It talks, it listens, it cares enough to work through the discomfort, not avoid it. Because real love isn't afraid of being uncomfortable, it's afraid of losing trust. Games are about winning. Love is about understanding. In games, someone always loses. In real love, both people grow. That's the difference. Love doesn't feel like you're being pulled closer and pushed away in the same breath. It doesn't offer intimacy only to withdraw it as soon as you start feeling safe. It doesn't build you up just to tear you down. Real love brings stability. It builds patterns, not confusion. It offers consistency, not chaos. A person who truly loves you isn't going to string you along just because they like the attention. They won't leave you hanging for days just to maintain power. They won't make you doubt their feelings just to keep you chasing validation. That kind of behavior might give them control, but it will never give you connection. And if there's no real connection, it's not love, it's performance. True love respects your emotions. It doesn't play with them. It holds space for them. It welcomes your truth instead of twisting it. It says what it means and means what it says. You don't have to be perfect, poetic, or hard to get to be loved. You just have to be real. And the person who is meant for you won't need you to hide your heart behind walls of strategy. They'll honor your openness because they're showing up with the same. When love is real, the energy is mutual. The communication is clear, the actions and words are aligned, and you don't have to question the intention behind every gesture. There's no reward system, no manipulation, no pretending to care less just to seem in control. There's vulnerability, commitment, and a genuine desire to build something honest. You deserve to be loved without confusion, to be valued without manipulation, to be cherished without conditions. Real love doesn't ask you to play games to keep it. It shows up ready, steady, and true. And when you experience that kind of love, you realize it was never about being wanted by many, it was about being respected by one. Real love is not a fantasy, but it is rare because it takes maturity, courage, and deep emotional honesty. It sees you for who you truly are, not just for how you appear on the surface. It chooses you intentionally, not just when it's easy or convenient. It stays through the storms, not just the sunshine. It grows with you as you evolve, not clinging to an outdated version of who you were. And it never plays games with your heart. It brings safety, not strategy. If you've ever been confused, questioned your worth, or settled for half love in the name of potential, remember this. Real love doesn't leave you doubting. It leaves you feeling seen, chosen, supported, and safe. You don't have to perform, chase, or shrink to keep it. When it's real, it will feel like truth, not tension. You deserve a love that honors your heart, grows with your soul, and shows up every single day with intention.